So we've heard all about artificial intelligence, RPA, and about what all to consider. The question is, how? How do you get started? How do you get on with this? This is the reason why every business is going through business transformation, digital transformation. You might not even know, but you are going through it because you don't want this to happen to your business. So improving your processes, automating things, becoming more efficient, don't increase your costs with growth. Sounds all very good. The challenge is, I really like this quote from Bill Gates, is that if you automate your efficient processes, you're going to become more efficient, and the opposite. And that is a mistake a lot of businesses are doing, trying to automate things to do dirty fixes and quickly see the ROI, say we have saved 700 hours per year by doing this. But actually, it's a time bomb. So you have to be very careful to look into what's first happening in your business. And that's what brings me to process mining. Let's look at what Gartner has to say about that. Very nice report. They very simply say, you've got a lot of data in your organization. It's structured, it's digital assets, it's videos, it's unstructured data, and then you've got a lot of human processes in place. It's very simple. Integrate your systems first, right? And then automate some of your tasks, some of the human tasks, and then apply artificial intelligence. And then you become this organization. Right? Sounds very nice. Ideal situation. How do you do it? How do you know which processes to be replaced or implemented by robots? How do you know which systems to integrate? A very recent customer of ours we were working with, they have 480 systems they are using, very large insurance business. Out of 480, they do not know what 292 of those are for, but they have been classified as business critical, right? And I'm sure they are. So they can't go about integrating 480 systems. It might take years, and then they realize that it's not useful anymore. Right. So I don't know if you know about process mining. I'll just try to touch upon it. There is process science, which was, let's not go through all of this, which was about business process management. This came up in our discussion about workflows. All the systems, IT systems, and there is workflow. Even business processes, there is workflow. There are different levels, though. I remember when we were working with one of the very large space agencies. They're literally like rocket scientists. And one of their processes was that every paperwork, this is only 4 years ago, has to be signed by different departments to be approved, because they are talking to NASA and they're moving satellites around and they're providing weather data. It's all very complicated. But there was a lot of delay in identifying which department has approved it and which department hasn't. So what do? They introduce a very strict policy of a certain color of the pen each department can use, so they can identify the signatures quickly rather than going through the names. It was literally that's what they did. Right? They say, okay, this department Leo will use green pen. So they did not look at what data the system has. That's what's happening. BPM, I'm not saying that's BPM, by the way. So there's workflow management. You look at your processes. The problem with process science is that it is more theoretical than it is practical, because it is the happy path. It is like, oh, we want our process to be this. Someone applies for a credit card online or a credit application, we want it to be this. And then we draw the diagram and we implement it. It works, right? What it doesn't look at is how is that process is actually being used in your organization. Right? And that's where data science comes into play. Big data, business intelligence, reports, very useful. So a lot of data you extract, you data mine from your IT systems, considering you have all this data because of digital footprint, and you build very nice dashboards which are very useful, decision making. You're monetizing your data, but it is just about data or content, but it doesn't look at how that data has been generated and how it has flown and reached where it has reached, whether it's sitting in an SAP system or Oracle system or Salesforce, wherever. And this is where process mining comes into play, because it connects both. A process mining tool like Celonis or ProM, what it can do is it can capture the digital footprint of everything that's happening in your organization and then reverse engineer into how it's aligning with the process by creating event logs and so if you want to go into technology. So what it can give you is the reality check of what is happening in your business, how your processes are being used, and how the data is being flowing and how it's being created. Sounds good? Then what? It's not just about technology change, process change, it also needs to have human change. And this is where process mining can give you a picture of where the change will make the most impact. Because it is not just giving you the data stack or the process or the happy path, it's giving you a reality check of what's happening. Let's look at a quick example. A fairly medium-sized financial institute, this is their happy path for a credit application, right? Sounds pretty straightforward. 9,242 applications were started, and it went through, application created, auto-approved, or pending fulfillment, or manual intervention, and finally, the payout was completed and the process was complete. But you will notice that there are different numbers in different steps. So it started with 9,242. What happened to the rest, right? So that's the happy path. That's what process science will give you. What we discovered is that these many applications were worth this much credit applications. Only 60% complied with all the steps in that path, and only 30% took this path in that order. So we said, okay, show us the rest. And then we saw this. There was some deviation. Said, okay, keep going, keep going. And what you see here is the number of days spent on the deviation and variation of the paths. And this is not because there was any bottlenecks or there were lack of systems or lack of knowledge about processes. This is just human behavior. We all work in our own way, which is convenient. And if we don't like the certain way, we find a workaround, right? How many times an invoice has been logged into a system after it has been scanned? Right? It's a very common thing. It happens, right? Or it happened also very fast that we've already received the invoice and scanned it, but we actually did not even create the purchase order yet. It's a very common thing. It happens. This is just 50% of the ways this one process has been used. Now, if you are with me on this, you can guess this will give you more focus on what to integrate and what to automate. It gives a very good scenario of, say, this is what we're going to save. It doesn't stop there. You can actually look at your benchmarking. How do you compare with best practice, which is based on market research or your own intelligence? Well, it is saying that, benchmarking market average is 72%. Yours is 29%. It should have taken 18 days. It took 33, and so on. So you can compare your happy path, reality happy path, with what is happening in the market. It will also help you with conformance checks, like compliance. So only 976 cases were confirming, and this is based on process science. You said these are our processes. We are a very mature organization. We have processes in place. This is what we follow, and our IT systems do this. But when you look at something like this, it will actually tell you that, yes, you're right, but this is what is actually happening. And that is the window of learning from your own business, what's happening in your business, to then make decisions of what is automation, what type of automation, is it back-end automation, front-end automation, where you can apply artificial intelligence. It just makes decision-making very easy. It's a good starting point. So that's this all about. You can even pinpoint all the way down to where were the violations. Now imagine FCA reporting, HMRC compliance about fraud detection. And you can pinpoint on where you are not complying. Even for an IT organization, a service organization like us, we are ISO certified. This just helps us tell us where we are failing in compliance, violation, immediately fixed. Our audits, which would take a day of a surprise visit or a pre-arranged visit by an inspector from the British Assembly, wherever, it's now online. We say, here we go. They still come, you know, they like to surprise. So typically what the message here is that do not forget to analyze your as-is process, just to understand what your actual processes are in your organization, not just on paper, right? It's very important. And this is not a very lengthy or complicated exercise. These things are so quick, because as soon as you connect to your data sources where it can find your digital footprint, it can start building this analysis for you. It's really quick decision making, right? And of course, you understand where the automation potential is and where it is going to bring the most ROI into the organization. And making decision of where the strategy change is needed, like Jan Vito was saying. Where do you need to change the strategy, not just automate things? Just in case you're wondering what sort of use cases can be this, these are all the use cases with these banks and financial institutes and insurance companies. It's not just about underwriting, it's about claims management, fraud detection, money laundering, anti-money laundering. A lot of cases can be identified because, and the key thing here is that, okay, this is the decision making on to have more confidence on what you're going to automate, but how about what happens if you automate? So that's the point. Process mining doesn't stop there, because you continue to use it, because if you build 20 robots to do work, or a robot per person, as Guy said, how are those robots performing? What are they doing? Because it's all in the process and in the data. You can continue to mine this and continue to tell you what's happening with those robots. And you can monitor the robots and even look at making the robots more efficient. Right? Because machine learning, artificial intelligence is going to make robots smarter. You can make them more efficient by monitoring them. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.